When we're thinking that Americans, to me, it always seems that they're like used to speaking for themselves, or the debate club and talking about like doing business is something which
Mhm.
is like very common in the US, as I feel. Maybe
Mhm.
you'll tell me more, but
I think
and
so.
they're so used to doing these kinds of like these are the talks which is natural for them,
Hmm.
and maybe therefore they're so good at sales, for example. Like this is what I feel.
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak. It's very general, and what I do realize too
Yeah,
is that different parts of the United States are so different. What I
yeah,
realized stepping away is, yes, we share a common thread, but there are very different parts of the U.S.
yeah,
But I think you're right. We do build in debate, conversation, things like this. I do think that in terms of conflicts, I think we mentioned it earlier, we're different, in
yeah,
feedback.
yeah,
We're not really, we need to be very polite. We're also very
yeah,
polite. Maybe that comes from the British. The British are very polite.
yeah.
Lots of
Very
please, lots of
subtle.
thank you,
Yeah,
a little bit more indirect in terms of feedback. And I had an Israeli client who told me he had to change his whole way of communicating because it was being taken so harshly and by his team. And so,
yeah. I totally understand what you're saying. Like it's a different language. So we think that we know English, but we don't really know how Americans think. And we're saying that because most big companies in Israel, they from day one look at the US. Like for them, that's the market. They know that they don't have any market. So that's the market that they're
that's the
aiming
market.
for.
Well, and I do think that they're innovative in trying new things. I mean, we look at the companies that have set the bar, like the Googles. I mean, in terms of culture and
Yeah.
innovation,
Yeah.
better than anybody,
Yeah.
right?
Sure. So we didn't talk about something which is like really important to me, growth mindset. How do
Yeah,
you think it's something that you hear more and more people talking about, how you see that impacting innovation?
I think it's key, and you say that in your book as well. No?
Yeah.
I think it's absolutely. I think it's possibly the most important thing. That combined with a couple other things, but I
Mhm.
would say a growth mindset, as Carol Dweck, it talks about that grit, as we say in English. The grit, just you fall down, you get back up. You fall down, you get back up. You have challenges. And I think I talk about resilience too. I've done some talks about resilience. It's become a very hot topic in the last year. So I've talked with companies about resilience. I've talked about resilient teams, and I think the growth mindset, it goes right into that. So last week I was working with a team, and they're at a big transition point. Of course, they're dealing, as we all are, with the COVID situation. They have new leadership. They have so many things that they're dealing with. And we did an activity, a sort of dynamic, fun activity where they could look at that, because built into the activity was, this time you did this communication activity. What did you do well? What didn't go well? What will you do next time? And as we did that, and they did it very naturally because it's not very emotional that they messed up this Lego game.
Yeah.
We talked about the importance of that, and then we can sort of take it into the world of their work. Where do you need to do this more? How would it benefit? Um, how would it benefit your team, and might it help in this time of transition? With what do you already do well, and what do you want to bring forward, and what do you need to let go of? What isn't working?
Yeah.
And next week, maybe you don't have to look. What will we do? What will we do differently next week? And then the next week. So creating that culture of it's okay to learn and grow, an assumption that we will be doing that continuously,
Yeah.
so important.
Yeah. And it's okay to unlearn some of the things, which is
Learn,
not.
let go.
Yeah.
I like that.
And Yeah, I think it's really important. Most people think it's like adding more and more to what they're doing, but it's not only that. They need to really adjust it in a way that sometimes they need to really let go of some thoughts that really worked out for them till now, but
Yeah.
it's not working anymore.
Well, and I think that's really important, right? It doesn't mean it didn't work before. Maybe it did work before, and now it's not appropriate, or now it's not the best answer.
Right, right.
Mm-hmm.
So I have like lots of like additional talks, like questions that we could talk about, but I have like one less question. So what is your number one tip for innovation leaders?
I think start with the groundwork. If you want to create an innovative team, a team that's willing to show up, you've got to start with the groundwork. And to me, that's trust. Your team's going to go nowhere if you don't create trust and psychological safety, the term from Amy Edmondson around psychological safety, which means that people are willing to take risks. And that's where the work is for leaders, in my opinion. Create that dynamic where it's okay to take a risk, which means it's okay to fail. Doesn't mean failing endlessly on the same thing. It means you're willing to fail, learn from it, and do it right the next time.
Sure.
So without trust, you're going nowhere.
Yeah, I love you. I love this one. I think it's really important in general. I think that it's not only in business. If you want something done, you need to build trust around you. And if not, it will be very hard to get there in general with people.
I 100% agree.